So let's start at the beginning. What's your first memory, Theo?
Of life?
Yeah.
In life?
Yeah.
My first memory in life is being stood at Ayers Rock in Australia.
Oh, right.
It's one of the first things I remember when I was a kid, because I lived in Australia when I was younger.
Right.
I remember seeing it when I can't really remember much about it, but I remember seeing it. I've not been back since, but I remember seeing Ayers Rock. That must have been about 3 or 4.
It's quite advanced. It's quite advanced memory recognition skills you've got going on.
But I kind of remember it, so I don't. But yeah, that was one of the earliest things I remember.
What about you, Adam? Beat that.
Okay, I don't think I can beat it, but I remember when my first memory is I ran around the side of my house with a set of keys in my hand, and I went into the back garden, and there was an open drain, and I remember holding these keys above the drain and looking at my whole family, and they were all saying, "Don't do it." And I looked my dad in the face, and I dropped these keys down the drain. And I think I was about 4 years old.
I think that beats
That
Ayers
does
Rock,
beat
to be
it.
honest.
Never told you that.
I didn't know that either.
We should share memories more.
You are learning so much about each other today.
We are.
So you met 5 years ago? 4 years ago?
It was the end of... It was November. I remember it was November the 20th, around then. I don't know why I remember that. 2005, when we first met. I remember it was near Christmas. And it was... basically, for me, personally, I was looking... I didn't have any really interest in being in a band or making music. I loved music, and it was my whole life, but I had no interest in making it properly until around about that time, and I started to ask people in pubs and who were out if they were in a band or if they wanted to be in a band, and
just strangers.
Well, just people who I thought looked cool, or people who I'd heard could play instruments and blah 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 in Manchester, and then one night I was just out. I went to a really embarrassing nightclub. Well, at the time it was cool, but now it was not so cool. It's called 42nd Street in Manchester.
Okay.
Where they used to sell vodka, Red Bull for £1.
I know the sort of establishment.
Yeah, and I was there, and I went outside at about 3 or 4 in the morning, and my friends who I was with were having a massive fight outside, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, here we go. Yeah. And Adam was stood there, not fighting, but it was his friends and my friends were fighting. And so it was this really awkward exchange where we kind of went, what happens now? Do we just go for it?
Yeah.
But then we just kind of had a laugh because we were very drunk. And we made some promise. It was really weird because the first thing we asked each other was that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I actually saw Theo earlier in the night, and he had this blue leather coat on. I thought it was quite a brave decision from a fashion point of view. And so he was already in my consciousness.
Right, okay.
But yeah, outside it was great because being drunk, but I speak very plainly when I'm drunk, and we very quickly established how we were going to move forward almost instantly with these questions and answers.
Right.
We went through the bands that each of us liked, and the other would go, no, I don't like that, next. And we kind of got to the point where when we left each other that night, we'd broken down kind of 6 months worth of barriers, and we kind of...
The main 2 questions we asked each other was very interesting, because it was like, what type of music do you want to make? We both said pop music, which is a funny answer. It's a strange answer to give, because it's not one that many people who want to be in a band would.
Especially men in their early 20s in Manchester, you know.
And it was like, oh, okay. And then it was like, do you want to do it as a hobby, or do you want to do it for the rest of your life? And that was what we asked each other. And we both said the same answer, which was, we want to do it for the rest of our life. Because I never really thought, well, there was a point in being in a band as a hobby. There's no point, because if you're going to do it, you might as well try and do it. So it was really funny. And then the next day, we swapped each other's email address, and the next day we started speaking on email, and then we didn't meet up again for like 4 months. But we'd send music across the internet.
I was reading this, that you had this sort of email.
Well, we finished. We had this song, I remember. And we finished it at Christmas 2005, and we hadn't met each other since that first night. It's very strange.
Because it was quite good, because we got to see who each other was, like, very plainly. It was because Adam would send some music, I would record the vocals on top of it, and there'd be no discussion. That would be the song. And so very plainly we could see how this kind of was going to work. And it was so fortunate that we'd met, and Adam made music and I wanted to sing. It was kind of like this bizarre thing. But then what it meant is I mean, a lot of it at the start was just testing out, and we weren't sure that was what we wanted to do, but it kind of felt like it worked. But then all of a sudden it was like, okay, neither of us. I mean, I can play like a few chords on the guitar. I can't play an instrument. And Adam was the same. But I mean, he played guitar really well. But it was like, what do we do? Do we sit and practice how to play instruments, or do we learn how to write pop music?
Yeah.
And we decided just to learn about how to write pop music, and which is a very different thing entirely than sitting and playing a guitar for hours on end. You got it's more for thinking and trying to work out what to do. Yeah. So we sat and just did that for a while, didn't we?
Yeah, I think one thing that I think from the very beginning we had discipline. I think that's the thing that we've always had is no matter. I mean, those early stages we were so naive, really. And when I look back, I think I suppose it makes me smile listening to those songs. But we were right, like Theo said, right at the beginning of kind of learning how to do it.
How do you learn how to do that though? Just dissecting your favourite records? Or?
You just sit and what you do is you sit and you go, what do you do? Do you just is this what makes that song work and that one not work? When you listen to two songs and you go, is it that? And for a while we kind of overthought. It's really funny the journey we went on to get where we are now is we overthought it all a lot because we had no other. We'd never written music before, so we were like, there must be a way to do it.
Right.
And so we overthought it all, and then all of a sudden with Hurts, it was the point where we realised that you should just do it, just feel it, but you've got to have experience to be able to just do it, and not overthink it. You've got to have. We kind of had to go all the way in order to come all the way back, which is very valuable. I think we're very lucky with what happened before Hurts. I think because we learned a lot. And learned what not to do most of the time. And because we started a band, after a few months we started a band together just as a means of playing some songs we didn't really know what to do, and then that kind of fell apart. We started another one. And it was all this process of just testing stuff out. And it's funny because you want it as much. I wanted it as much then as I do now.
What is it you wanted though?
Just a different... I just wanted to not... We were on the dole and I just wanted to do it. And I wanted to do it more for me personally. It's a personal... I'm quite hard on myself, and I was like, if you're gonna do it, come on, mate, just do it properly. So, but it's really funny because I wanted it. I think we both wanted it the same, but if it had come upon us at any point before Hurts, I can't imagine it. Can't imagine it ever.